the way he formulated it was the food of cellular transmutation. That's what he called it. And I was like, Ascension Particles for short. Whoa, that's a
Wow.
mouthful, you know? So, but that's the idea, is that these particles, some of them are coming from deep in the earth, from Lemurian and Atlantis civilizations. Some of them are coming from deep in the cosmos, like Orion, and like just like far, far. And some of them are the solar particles, and then we've got all the prana stuff. So we have been playing with particles forever here, just mostly solar and pranic. And now there's big shifts going on. You know, there's
Mm.
been big rips in the fabric of the atmosphere, and people are like, "Oh no!" But at the same time, that's what's actually allowing the floodgate of these cosmic particles to come in and just get in the atmosphere everywhere. And then we've got earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and all these things going on. These are helping the particles that are deep in the earth to come up. So we got particles coming at us. We got particles coming at us from behind Darius right now. Like, look at that.
It was
So
inspired by our topic
it's
today.
I know it's a really cool. I'm like, wow, look at, oh, I can recognize the adamantine ones. No, I'm kidding. so So what these particles are doing, the reason we call them particles is they come in as waves at first, but quantum physics explains to you a wave and the particle are the same thing. It just depends how you're looking at it.
Mhm.
And since we want these waves, these ascension waves, to work directly with our physical body and our chakras and our energy bodies, we orient these waves towards being absorbed by cells. The way a cell absorbs something is when it's in the form of a particle. So this is the thing, right? The waves affect the field. The particles can go in. It's kind of like the difference between that hamburger smells so good, or maybe not a hamburger, but whatever, as opposed to like eating it and bringing the
Right.
particles in your body, you know? So that's the reason we talk about particles, because we activate physical doorways: eyes, ears, nose, mouth, belly button, skin. These are the 9 doorways, physical doorways. We activate those because they have cells. These doorways have cells that are specialized only in understanding, oh, that's the particle coming in, and the information. Okay, that I send it to the nervous system. That I send it directly to an organ. That I send it to a gland. So that's what these receptive doorways are. They're super intelligent cellular structures. And I don't know if you've ever studied the body, but like just the eyes, there's like, 50 trillion cells in there, and the nostrils have like 50 fucking trillion cells, and they all have all these gateways. These doorways have millions of cells that are waiting for you to be like, I'm letting you know, let's go, activate and absorb. So once these activations are done, you're more able to bring these particles into your body. So at
Mm.
first physically, but energetically as well, through the chakras, through the aura. When we talk about photoluminescent cells, that these are the cells of your aura. It's not
Oh,
because your aura is energy
yes.
that it doesn't have cells. They're
Yes.
light cells, right? And the whole goal of all this crystalline, crazy, yummy stuff going on is a massive evolution, collective, global, Gaia, and all of us upgrading from third density bodies into
Yes.
fourth density bodies. That's the key thing. And the evolution from third to fourth density, that's the body. When we talk about dimensions,
Hmm.
that's the way we see things. So it's super interesting. Like we hear about 5D. So I just want
Correct.
to everyone to understand, your body is evolving from a third density to a fourth density being. Your perception, how you see things, is evolving from a third dimensional perspective of, like height, line, depth,
Hmm.
into a fourth dimensional perspective, which is now you are also considering energy and consciousness, into a fifth dimensional consciousness, which is about love becoming the eyes through which you see the energy in the body. Because fourth dimensional beings, there's a whole bunch of them exist out there. they function out of high consciousness. It doesn't necessarily mean that they function out of a sacred heart and, like a divine love perspective. So the passage from third to fourth density is what the ascension particles are generating and accelerating in your body. And that transition into a fourth density body is how we become 5D crystalline beings. Third density, carbon-based. Fourth density, silica-based. Crystalline body. And this is, the whole Earth is doing this right now. So the Earth is absorbing these particles too. Like, it's transforming her as well. So that's kind of my little intro. And then from there, as we are absorbing these particles, evolving from a density to another density is something that takes millions of years normally. And we are in a crunch right now. Like, we're going to have so much evolution in 100 years. It's hard to even understand. And thank God that we don't need to with our 3D brain. Okay.
Right.
So, right now we talk 3D and I'm talking to your brain and your brain's like, okay, but that allows a much deeper knowledge to, as you were explaining at the beginning of the call, Darius, it was perfect. It's like, I'm just reminding you of what you already know.
Yeah. Let me ask, is anybody feeling this? Like when she talks about this, just the idea that we have all these receptor sites in our body that maybe in some way our body knows or is prepared for this coming in? Do you start to activate a little more? Do you start to tingle? Do you start to kind of become more aware of just even the air around you and the particles around you start to change form? And this is very interesting, Julie, because you said once we begin to notice them, it's like they change from particle to a wave, or they become something that we now become aware of that then shifts our perspective in the field and how we're interacting with it. So just this information is kind of like triggering like a response, which is super cool.
Yeah. It's the beauty of information. Knowledge is power, right? Like,
so what is crystalline? We talked about this in my private session when I was having the back pain. And we started with this whole crystalline thing about low energy and like how certain things use carbon but can't use crystalline, and why. And I want to get into a little bit of this, why certain energetics in some of these dimensions may not want us to go crystalline. They're better served by us being carbon. Go ahead and open that up. Well, just for a little, because it's a big piece of the story that I try to slowly tell as we look at the world. But yeah, what do you want to, however you want to share that? Go ahead.
There's so much I want to say about that. So for the most important thing I want to tell you is that the reign of certain beings that have been using our energy for their own ends is coming to an end. And what that looks like as it's coming to an end is that it's all going to become more and more and more and more visible. It doesn't mean there's more crap going on in the world. It just means that it cannot stay hidden anymore, because nothing is hidden in a crystal. Have you seen a crystal? It's see-through. It's kind of the same, and that's how we would become. We will become see-through. And I don't mean invisible, but I mean like your intentions will not be, you won't be able to hide them from others as easily as we can in a third density body. It's got all these little pockets and dark stuff going on in there. But the important thing to understand is that they feed on your fear. They feed on you believing, in third density, third dimensional reality, which is all about survival. I need to survive. I need to control things. As long as we stay stuck in that place, we're like this. We're tight. When you're tight, you can't absorb anything. You can't even absorb the vitamins of the food you're eating if you're stressed out. Imagine subtle particles. So the deepest resistance, the deepest you can give to these energies is to cultivate serene states, is to cultivate relaxing, is to cultivate peace, is to cultivate meditating. And you might be like, well, like I got to pay my bills, and it's like, yeah. So then this is the reality. We had a really cool talk in the last time we had a call. 3D preoccupations and 5D reality don't go together. right? Like it's like the 3D preoccupations kind of pull us down and keep us in there. And they are
Yeah.
doing everything they can to keep you in 3D preoccupations, right? Oh, your job, the money, the market, the this, the that, the that. So all these things that make us stay contracted and stressed out. And that's how they slow down the ascension process.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I mean, I'm guilty of that. Like I'll watch stuff and I'll comment, and it's something I try to work on. But it's interesting because I see the patterns behind the things happening, and so I almost like try to warn people. It's kind of like during COVID, I was like, someone had said something, and I was like, oh, there's no way. And I wouldn't touch any of that stuff in a million years. Like I just had to, like, if it helps a person, if people can kind of understand and just step back from the reactionary response, because I see the bigger game plan. When we go crystalline, when we start to embody this crystalline energy, what happens to some of these lower energies, agendas, maybe even things in our body that are of lower vibration? We're carrying guilt, we're carrying shame, we're carrying overwhelm, like I was in my back, right? What happens to all that stuff?
Well, that's the beauty of opening up to working with the particles and doing things as simple as pranic breathing. And that shit's been around for 10,000 years, but it's
Yeah.
so powerful. We need to purge these things out of our body. But then it's not like, okay, I got to go do all this trauma release stuff and cry and this and scream and punch a pillow. And all that is kind of ego stuff. It's kind of weird to understand that. It is not true that you need to do all that to purge what you're holding. You can have assistance in the process, but it's just what's important to understand is like your options are you're looking down at the 3D problems, or you're anchoring up into 5D reality. These are the options. So someone just made a comment. It's like, how do we, if the system's holding us back, how do we fight against it? And believe it or not, you fight against it by not fighting against it. You stop believing that shit can hold you back. Like it does everything it can for you to believe it. And it's really strange. Like sometimes a really interesting workshop you can do is you can write the list of everything you need to do today in order to whatever, and then meditate for an hour and then look at that list. And you're going to be like, half that shit on there is completely, I don't need to do that. You've just reduced your workload by 50% in a 1 hour meditation. Because so much of that is about I need to do this and I need to do that. And it's based on the system and it's based on this and it's based on that and it's based on this girl, whatever. The most important thing we all need to do right now is come back into ourselves completely. When we're stressed out about the world and the system and the wars and the this, we're doing this with our consciousness. We're putting it out of ourselves. And I'll tell you right now, it is completely anxiety producing to do that. Your core's like, where'd you go? Hey, get back in here. And we're like, no, it's still over there and this and that and then and that. We need to come back. You come back in your center. Your natural state is peace and love and joy. These are your natural states. That's your natural state when you're calibrating in the 500s. And then most of the stuff that affects your 3D body doesn't anymore when you're calibrating above 500, including EMF, including shitty food, including whatever, chemicals, blah, blah, blah. These affect us because our frequency is too low.
So are you saying, Julie, and I'm not holding you to this or saying, oh my God, but if we get high enough, some of that stuff that could be quote unquote shitty, what happens to that if it's in our body? Does it have to kind of rise with us or leave our body? Because that's kind of my thoughts. Like, maybe it has to either entrain to where we're at or it has to leave, but it's not going to stay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, what do you think?
The idea is transmutation, right? So there's
transmutation. Okay.
Whatever is you, whatever is really you. I don't mean BS system, belief systems, and that's not yours. You picked up, right? So whatever is fundamentally you transmutes into a higher level, right? It's not like you don't throw out your 3D body to build your 5D body. It transmutes from the inside out into a higher frequency. The same way your DNA structure goes from a 2-strand to a 6-strand to a 12-strand to a whatever. We don't take out the DNA and then new one comes in. It's just a higher iteration. It's already there. I have to, you read the comments, because if I start doing that, I'm gonna
I'll read them for you. Yeah,
then I can't see on top of that. So I'm like squinting. Like so
yeah.
at the deepest reality, if you are calibrating at the level of joy, which is in the Hawkins scale is 530 or something, anything over 500, most of 3D things do not ail you anymore. Not because it's not a trick. It's a frequency thing. If have you ever seen like a thing that shows you the frequency of colors?
Yeah.
Right. Like the red one is like a really slow wave. And then when you get up to the violet one, it's like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine that you vibrating at that level. How much stuff can how much stuff can hook into you if you're vibrating that high? Pretty hard. How much can hook into a crystal when the crystal has a frequency that's like higher, expensive of the system, right? So it's really tricky talking about this 3D system. Yeah, go ahead.
It makes sense. What was the last thing you were going to say? I'm sorry, I jumped in.
Well, I'm just about to say the 3D medical system, it's not like it makes perfect sense in a 3D world, but the 3D medical system is about your biochemical body. And so everything becomes, everything's chemical. So, there's this problem and that's the symptom, and then we create a chemical that counters the symptom.
Right.
So it's all chemical. Right.
And what is the vibration level of these chemicals? It's probably at the same vibration or very similar to where we're at in the disease state. So you're just kind of holding at that cap, that level. This is interesting because we're talking about the body, and we are going to dive a little bit into the organs here. Tell me, not the organs, the glands. Tell me about the glands. My 3D mind is organs, but it's glands. Tell me about what is the story on what's happening with our glands, because I'll let everyone know we scratched the surface on this, but this is a big part also of what Julie is doing in this program. But what is the story on the glands and crystalline? What is happening? Why would we want that to happen, etc.?
Okay, so your glands are the interface between your chakras and your organs. Super interesting to understand this.
Are the interface between your chakras and your organs.
Yeah, so
they're in the middle. Okay.
Yeah. So for each chakra, there's an associated gland. Very, very interesting when you go into that a little bit. And what's happening is when you are absorbing, energy through your chakras, particles through their photoluminescent structure, it goes directly into the gland. It goes from an energetic photoluminescent, and it's like a bridge. The gland is the bridge that allows that energy to become a physical, physical is a tricky word, a light impulse, I should say, a light impulse going into the gland, and then that's information. And the gland's like, okay, got it, boom. And then it turns around and it's like, okay, this is what I need to do in the body for this to function. So the glands are your glandular system is probably the most important system in your body. Of course, your nervous system is incredibly important, and your nervous system is the one that decodes all the particles and then gives the directives to what needs to happen. But the reality is, whenever you're absorbing the particles directly through your chakras, you're going directly into your glands. So the root chakra, it's the adrenal glands. The sacral chakra, it's the gonads. So the testicles. The solar plexus.
Can you go slow, Julie? If someone wants to, can y'all type this into the chat? Because I know people are going to want to. I've never heard this before. To be honest, I can't remember this correlation. So someone follow in and write notes. Say it in. The root chakra is correlated.
Yes, I'm starting with the root. I'll start with the root. Root's the adrenal glands.
That makes sense, right? Because if we're all adrenalized and amped up, we can't stay grounded in our root. We can't stay powerful in our root for maybe a short period of time. We feel like we're going to take on the world, but then eventually we lose our true power because it's just this short little spurt is all that's for, right? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one. Making you teach a class here, Julie.
I just wanted to go off on a whole other thing about
I
diabetes.
know. It's so much.
Shut up.
Go
Don't go
what?
there.
What?
Okay. Sacral is your gonads. So the reproductive glands. So either the testicles or the ovaries. Okay. So the name for both is gonads. And then the solar plexus, believe it or not, the organ is the pancreas. Who here knew that your pancreas was a gland?
Wow.
It's not an organ. Your pancreas is a gland. It's part of your glandular system. So interesting. I'll keep going. The heart is the thymus gland. The throat is the thyroid. So thymus, heart, throat, thyroid. Third eye, pituitary. You don't look like you're taking notes anymore.
They're doing
someone's
it.
taking notes for you.
They're doing it for me.
Let
Yeah.
me just save the chat.
But you know, I
So
was just thinking about this because when I was in my early 20s, I had a thyroid like nodule, a tumor, and I had it removed. And I've had consistently, I mean, I have through the years, like cleared my throat chakra. But at that point in my life, and for a good maybe 5, 10 years later, I was constantly trying to speak my voice, figure out who I was, speak that into reality. And you just said the thyroid ties to the throat chakra, and I had a
yep.
tumor. I had this energy that wasn't flowing that created a growth. So I was just like, yep, there it was. So this is awesome.
Yeah. And then third eye, pituitary gland, and crown chakra, pineal gland.
Mm.
So 7 main glands, 7 main energy centers.
So when we start absorbing, I want to bring this to the ascension particles. So what happens, what is happening as we tune these glands, or we reactivate or realign these glands to be able to absorb these particles? What starts happening? What do you see happen in people?
So like what we do is we activate the doorways, and then the more the doorways are activated and that we take time to, focus on them, and like I'm absorbing these particles. It's like a conscious decision. The more you do that, the more these glands start secreting differently. Because I remember something really important I was explaining. The goal of these ascension particles, in many ways, is to bring you back into the proper union in you between universal intelligence and cellular intelligence. Without a mind in between them, arguing with them. This is the main problem we have with the way our egoic thing is built, is it's arguing with life all the time. But when the universal intelligence is able to come right into your crown and just talk to your cells directly, a lot of things are going to change. This need for memory, this need to remember a bunch of things is going to be gone. We'll have better memory than before once the transition is done. But while it's going on, we have less memory. While it's going on, we have less memory, less energy. It's normal. It's glands being transmuted and transformed into a new functioning. And they each have very specific things that happen to them. So, in terms of the pineal gland and the memory centers and the pituitary gland, which these glands are super important. They regulate your temperature, your thirst, your hunger, like the movement of energy in your body, your level of energy. All of these are governed by these glands telling the body what's going on and what needs to happen. And one of our problems is because of our intellect and the fact that we've created a society and a world that has nothing to do with following the rhythms of nature, is that most of us are completely deregulated in terms of even knowing when we need to eat and what we need to so we're eating like just whatever. We're eating a bunch of crap half the time because we don't even know. It's like, it's hard for your body to even tell you what it needs. If your body's like, I need to fast for a week, and your mind's like, no, I need to eat 3 times a day, period. Like that's it. That's a really good example of the interference of intellectual intelligence with much vaster universal intelligence and cellular intelligence that's directly connected with it. It knows what it needs to do to transform.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah. Oh, go ahead. Oh,
I want to get to anyone's questions because we're going to be talking about how this relates to people's lives today too. Because I want to bring this to everybody here. When you have people go through these ascension particle sessions and awakenings, what do you see happening with people? What are some of the results or some of the effects that the clients begin to actually exhibit or begin to actually start to show?
yeah. Well, some of my students are, I don't really, they're enlightened. Like I'm not saying I did that. They
Yeah.
did that,
Right.
by
Right.
really accepting to absorb it and allow the transmutations to happen,
Mm.
and understanding, for example, that. So I talked about the top glands. Let me go down to the bottom ones for a second. Right, like
Yeah.
the adrenals, specifically the adrenal glands. The big change happening to them is part of these particles. I think it's like a lot of the Orions and the crystalline the celestial crystalline particles. What these do, how they are transforming the adrenals, is they're guiding a new form of secretion. The way your adrenals work normally is, as soon as you're afraid, boom, they just like they pump a bunch of adrenaline, right? And then you're constricted and you're ready to fight. You're ready to whatever. So when you're like that, you can't absorb. You cannot absorb from a place of fight and flight. You absorb from a place of rest and digest. You absorb from a vagus nerve that's like, so how can these beings trying to help us help our system evolve? One of the things that these particles do is they prevent the adrenaline secretion from happening right away, so that
Oh.
we start having a buffer space of like,
Hmm.
okay, so there's something right there that normally would freak the shit out of me, and all of a sudden I'm able to maintain a peaceful state. So
Hmm.
like that's not because like, oh, I meditated long enough that now I'm able to just maintain a serene state. Like some of these particles, that's exactly what they're doing. We have a
Wow.
huge problem here of everyone with a bunch of trauma, and they keep giving us more freaking trauma, because if you're in trauma, you're not in flow,
Right.
right?
You can be controlled, you can be manipulated, you can be guided, and moved. It's like during
Yeah.
COVID, the
Yeah, they had a
scarier
lot of
you
fun.
are, the more
Mhm.
you'll do whatever they want. You'll do whatever anyone wants, as long as they have safety as the parrot they're waving in front of you, right?
I
The
know.
prize. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. I want to get to some folks' questions. I want to talk a little bit about some of what you're seeing and what's happening, but also send in your questions because I do want to grab some of y'all for some support today. Um, let's see. Anne, if you want to raise your hand, I mean, we can do some little mini help and Julie can look in. I know Anne was talking about feeling chronic fatigue. Let me see if Anne's got her hand raised.
Yes. So,
Be a
yes,
great one for today.
absolutely.
So, Anne, if you want to raise your hand, go ahead and do that. Let me try to find Anne. So we're just kind of going here. Oh, there's Anne. Anne, do you want to raise your hand? I don't want to unmute you without your consent, but you let us know. If you want to go ahead, you can raise hand. If not, we'll go to someone else here. All right. So I think what we're gonna do, if Anne doesn't raise her hand, we're okay. Unmute. Okay, let me grab Anne. Hey, Anne. Let's see.
Hi.
Hey,
Sorry,
how are you
I
doing?
didn't know how to raise my hand and it just came up. So
And
I have I got hit with Lyme disease 30 years ago, really hard, and been struggling ever since. I've not been able to heal, been trying all sorts of things. And then I had Darius, I had a similar God moment like you,
Mm,
where I was literally in bed, completely paralyzed one day, and I was begging and I said, just take me. I was in, pain and
mm,
misery. And I said, I've lived this way too long. I don't know what to do and how to change. And I said, just give me one joy back in my life. The Lyme disease, I was a singer all my life and a performer, and Lyme disease stole my voice. I couldn't sing a note for 15 years.
oh my
And
gosh.
then that day, I like fell back to sleep. And I woke up 3 hours later with a complete download of a song in my head. This continued for 3 days. And I said,
Wow.
God, universe, whatever, is this you talking to me? And the voice literally spoke to me on that third day and said, this is what you asked for. This is our gift to you. Your job is to get this music out to the world now, to the people who need to hear it. And I have been writing songs ever since. They just download through me.
Perfect.
I've never been a songwriter. And they're all this music is about this. It's about moving forward. And I mean, I don't even know what these lyrics are about. They just come through me. And then I get on moments like this and it hits me. I said, these are the people. This is for me. This is for all these people who need this healing. And yet I can't heal myself yet. I'm still stuck in this, it's chronic fatigue, chronic pain. And I'm like, when is this going to stop?
See, and that's
how do I work through this and move past it so I can really move on forward with this gift and spread this to, the people that need to hear it. I've been on this mission since. It's given me a new life. I've gotten my voice back. I'm working with producers right now. I just finished one song, but I wasn't able to sing it. But these are beautiful songs, and they're for people to heal with.
Yeah. So one thing I want to say right now that's really fun is that when our body is calibrating at our natural frequency, like our natural frequency is one in which all our cells are singing and dancing in the energy of joy. I just think it's so beautiful. Like I'm hearing you speak, and it's like a big part of where you're at is like just absorbing more and more light and just letting your cells come back to their natural state of singing and dancing and joy, and it's like I'm noticing like a duality thing going on. Yeah. Which
can I say, like, one of the things you mentioned, Julie, and you taught this to me, was it's not just that these ascension energies are out there, which is what sounds like she's picking up from the songs, but are we absorbing the particles in our body? Has it gotten into her cells, which is what you're saying? So there's like this, I don't know if it's a gap, but there's just a little disconnect between everything she's pulling in and then embodying it. And so that's where we need to open these doorways. So I suspect the answer is going to be opening the doorways,
Well, not only that, but also realizing that you also generate light particles. We all generate prana particles. We all generate adamantine particles. We generate them from our heart space. We're light beings, right? So as we move and play around with like it's not like, because it's in the 3D world, we think like that, we're kind of like, I'm breathing in light, like it's not in you already. And it's not true. You're breathing in light, which tickles and activates the light already within you.
Yeah.
That's the fun thing for you. I would, oh my God, I'd have so much fun working with the heart to the throat and the flow there. And chronic fatigue is something in the spine. It's located in the spine. But there's also the fact that chronic fatigue is a very normal side effect of massive glandular transformation, because your pituitary gland is the gland in charge of functions of rest and health, and like it's just so that's
which I don't get. I have I don't sleep. I've had chronic insomnia too. So what you're saying makes complete sense about all of this. And like Darius, what you were saying also, to reiterate, just I feel like I'm not absorbing. I've been trying to keep myself open, and I'm I've been doing all these things, and I'm trying to focus on the meditating, and I just can't seem to get my frequency, my vibration up high enough to really absorb it and feel it and push past.
This is the trick. This is this you just said there. You're like, so you're trying to get your frequency high enough so that you can absorb the particles. And the way you absorb the particles is by going into rest and digest.
Right. Which I can't do. So
no, you can. You can. It's just there's something going on.
Too, right?
There's something going on in your system that The fear of rest and digest is, oh my God, what's going to happen after that?
Okay.
Is it going to get worse? You know, like I used to have a thing like that where it's like, if I calm down too much, I'm gonna feel more sick. You know, so yeah, there's so much we could say about that, but there's a little bonus, or the lava cleanse. You could have fun with that, and I don't know if you're going to come into Ascension Particles, but I would love for you to be in there and to, because they're long, 1 hour long guided meditations. I
Yeah.
just keep flowing with you, flowing. And it's like the mind doesn't get to, I can't, I know. It's like all of a sudden it's just like, no, the energy just pumps us deeper and deeper into the body. And that's where we need to be for the work to happen, right? Your body needs to know you're going to be there with it, even if it's sick, even if it's got this, even if it's got that. And it's just like, okay, how deep can I go in me and feel safe in there?
Yeah. I don't feel like I've gone deep enough is right. So it's crazy, and I appreciate your time with all this. And Darius, thanks for picking me there.
Yeah, of course.
I'm new to you somewhat. I was on one other call before. I'm new to you. I don't know when all these calls take place, and I just literally caught the message, and I said, you know what, I'm going to pick up on this today. So there is definitely divine intervention with me and on this call, and I've just, you know, I feel like I've just learned something new and something I can work with. I mean, definitely that deeper insight that apparently I keep missing. So
and that's right. We're going to do the intention breath,
thank you,
right?
Julie.
Yeah, and we're going to do something today too. Okay. So thank you, Anne. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
That intention breath is going to be great for you, Anne-Marie, because when we're exhaling the bridge of the nose, you're bringing energy directly into the pituitary gland, which is the one that's deregulated, related to, you know, when to rest, when to be awake, when to eat, when to fast, when to, you know, so yeah, good.
Yeah, we're going to do something we're going to do what some of what Julie shared with me privately. I was like, yeah, we got to share this. So thank you, Anne-Marie. But yeah, I love that. Well, her story shows us exactly, we can be downloading, we can be on calls like this, and I'm getting all this information, I'm talking with these beings, or I'm getting this great download. But like you said in the first call, is our body in 5D, or are we still in the suffering? And this is why we're talking about the crystalline energy and getting the glands activated into this. Let me go to another caller. We're going to go to none other than Pamela. Let me see. Actually, yeah, Pamela, do you have a question for Julie today? What's going on, Pamela? Get Pamela unmuted here, and send in your questions, guys. We got a lot more to do, and we're going to be doing some big energy work today with Julie Claire. So if Pamela, we can unmute you, that'd be great. If not, we'll go to someone else. Sometimes that happens. No worries. Everything in divine flow. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go to Carrie and your iPhone, Carrie, if you're there. iPhone 14, Carrie, Kerri.
iPhone, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, Darius. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Carrie?
I'm good. I'm really good. I don't know if you remember, I had a bad cough with the walking pneumonia several weeks ago.
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm doing really well.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah,
thank goodness.
That was great advice that day. But yeah, I'm tired though. I just can't shake the fatigue lately.
Okay, there's something I want to say about this. It's super important. I was talking about that last time. Our bodies are literally being rebuilt, and we need a lot more physical and psychic rest than usual. And this is where, like, we're all like, often we act like we should just be normal and functioning like normal, and it's like, what are you talking about? We're having a huge overhaul. The earth and us are all evolving into fourth density beings, and you know, physical rest is one thing. Psychic rest is another. It just means like rest from your mind, rest from the blah, blah, blah. Like, how can we not have burnouts? Like if you just take 5 minutes to listen to everything in your head, you're like, oh my God, this thing never ends. And it doesn't end. Your job is to center yourself deeper into your body. And then it's like, it's just blah, blah stuff going on up there. But please, Kerri, like, you just had something huge in your lungs, right?
Mhm.
So that is like super deep grief that came up to get processed. And it got processed physically through your body. So give your body a break. Rest.
Yeah.
Please.
Easier
It
said
is.
than done with 4 kids, but okay, I'll try.
I know that's tricky. I know that's tricky. We can do downtime with them and
Yeah.
drawing. I'm not saying necessarily sleep 14 hours a day.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is the necessity to have activities in your life that are just relaxing. For example, like a stupid example, doodling, just
Mm.
doodling on a paper,
Mhm.
just doing little drawings. I don't know how old your kids are, but I used to
Yeah,
get
they're
all the,
beyond doodling, but I'm a doodler. Very creative. That's what I do. I'm an interior designer, so I could definitely
yes,
doodle.
yeah, random doodling, without a goal. It's not like I'm going to do this drawing. We're just doodling.
Yeah.
It's like and teaching your body what it's like to be in an alpha state,
Mm.
without you needing to be like this for
Yeah.
3 hours or whatever, which people do it like this. They rarely get to the alpha state, right? They're trying so hard. But I mean, like, you want to get to the place where your natural baseline is receptivity, which means being in a constant state of meditation, but just not the way we think of meditation. It just means we're receptive. I want you to just be kind to yourself as you go through this, because Ascension is also about every single one of us coming back into our core and making sure that our primary needs, we are meeting them, because that is how we are able to take care of everyone else around us. You take care of your needs for rest and digest and increasing the light in you, the light increases in you, then there's more light in your environment for everyone that you love to absorb as well, right? So we forget this. We are light emanators. You get in your heart deep enough and you can emanate love and light and prana and feed things, because you are feeding yourself. I'm having a flashback, Darius, of our session. That whole idea of you give the overflow
Mm-hmm.
of your glass. Like, let's say your energy is a glass and it's like under a tap. It's filling it up. What overflows is what you share with others.
Right.
That's not what we do, man. We're like emptying our glasses out everywhere and like, I got a drop left here for you, and we need to stabilize the energy. And that's another thing the Ascension Particles do, is like, oof, does it ever increase your ability to come back to understanding, hey, me just breathing into my heart
Yeah.
and breathing back out through my heart can have a huge shift in the complete environment I'm in.
Mm.
Yeah, no. And when we see that, it's kind of hard to, we know it's true after that, we know how true that is. A state of like calm energy opens the heart. You open the heart, you're able to automatically, you inhale more prana, you absorb more light particles through your skin, and it all goes into your heart. It's does this crazy funky thing in there, and all of a sudden you breathe it back out into your environment, and it's amplified from what you breathed in as light. When you take it in amplified and send it back out, it's like 100x, 1,000x, a millionx.
Mm.
You can be in a room, and if you get really centered, you can literally observe the shift
In the whole room.
So imagine
Yeah.
if all of us are doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Carrie, you have permission. I want to ask this because we didn't touch on this today. We touched on it before, but you've identified doorways and some really important 9 physical, 13 energy doorways through which we absorb these ascension particles. And then there are 7 different types of ascension particles we talked about: solar, pranic, terrestrial, celestial, crystalline, adamantine, Orion, and 6-dimensional. Tell us a little bit. I know we're going to be doing a process, but I don't know if you know all of the 13 doorways and the physical. Well, there's 9 physical, 13 energetic doorways. So there's 20 two?
It sounds
Tell-
confusing, but it's really
It's
not.
okay. It's okay. Anything you want to share about some of these, let us know, because we can say, okay, everyone stay calm and absorb, and that will happen. But your focus is really opening these for people. So this doesn't take 100 years, right? This
Exactly.
happens quicker. It's not going to like wipe you out, but it's just like accelerating it. What are some of these doorways, Julie?
Yeah. So first of all, we are a lot more tired from resisting than
Yeah.
from absorbing. Okay.
Oh my God. That's just like, that could be a whole week of
uh,
just meditating on that. What if your tiredness, what if your lack, what if your challenges are from resisting rather than absorbing?
and that's one of the deepest
Wow.
discernments that we keep bringing into the energy bodies when we're
Yeah.
doing the essential particle program is
Wow.
really getting clear on the discernment between ascension symptoms
Hmm.
and resisting ascension symptoms. It's like not the same. Like, so we're very quickly, right? These particles, they all have specific functions and they kind of work together, right? So it's like it's not like, you know, our 3D brain wants me to say there are 7 particles. Each of them have a specific function. They only work on one gland, but it's not like that. It's kind of it all like gets going together and, you know, they're high-fiving each other and working together. But basically there's the solar particles, there's the pranic particles. I already mentioned both of these we've had forever. It's part of being in a human body and not dying, basically. And then we've got these other ones. So there's the crystalline particles. Some of them are in the earth, that's from Atlantis. Some of them are coming from the cosmos, that's from our celestial friends. And then there's the adamantine particles that the Lemurians have left us, and we have adamantine particles in our hearts. This is not, we need to absorb them from outside. Like you absorb adamantine particles and it awakens the ones you already have within you.
Mm.
And then we've got the Orion particles and the 6th dimensional particles. These kind of swirl and work together. So there's these 9 physical doorways, your eyes and your ears, these work together. These work together. It's like your eyes and your ears absorb a whole range of frequencies that your 3D body has no idea that it's doing, right? If you think about a radio, whatever station, you know, all these little metaphors we've had, right? We only see 10% of the stuff with our eyes that's there. But that's not true about your 5D eyes. Your 5D eyes see the entire spectrum and range of color frequencies. And your 5D ears hear the entire range of sound frequencies and vibrations. So, you know, the solar particles work a lot on the ears and the eyes. And of course, you know, we absorb them through the skin as well. And then the crystalline ones, the celestial ones, work on the solar plexus. We talked about that a lot last time because it's the most important function. What they do, these celestine particles, we absorb in them, and what they do is everything in you that is a low frequency emotion, that is a low frequency thought, that is a low frequency energy in your body will start to purge out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets tricky sometimes because you're like, yo, since I started doing that, I feel worse, you know? And it's like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, right on. What do you, this is good. You feel it more. And now you feel, and the more you feel it, why would you want to hold on to that? You're like, oh my God, purge that out of my body. Let's go. You know, like, so, and then the terrestrial particles from the Atlantis civilization, they are like doing all this work in our third eye and the whole glandular system in our brain, so that's the thing where we're getting transformed from needing to remember things to actually re-becoming 5D and beyond beings. We don't need to remember anything. Yeah. It's like the universal intelligence contains it all. Yeah. Your job is to know how to just go pull into that to get the information you need. Like the internet's a really good metaphor of that, like biological technology that we have, let's say.
Yeah. 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 Amazing. I'm just going to say, like, I've noticed too, I'm a lot less interested in facts, and I've been like this for the last like 4 or 5 years. I just hard for me to really care about, not sure like ignoring facts, but like pulling up like, you know, facts and data and statistics. I'm just not It's not something I want to like hold in my field and like remember, oh, it's this number is this. It's like I just can pull in and I know, or I have a very strong feeling that this is this, or this is happening, or this is the direction. Yeah. So everyone, we're going to dive into a group process. If you're listening in on YouTube or Facebook, we're going to cut the live stream. I'm so sorry. You're going to want to check out the full replay. It's going to be at uwealthrevolution.com/Julie 29 or Ascend, ASCEND. It's actually going to be Ascend, I think, right?
And I think it's Julie C29, or else it's going to go into another Julie.
Another Julie, yeah. And we created, I think, Ascend, ASCEND. So you can go there, uwealthrevolution.com/Ascend. And then for everyone else who's here listening in on Zoom, we're going to start